Welcome to today's training video. Today we're going to talk about the differences between My Garden and classes and assignments. There's some big concepts to think about when we're talking about the gardens or classes and assignments. I think once we explain the big concepts, it'll make it easy to know how to take a piece of content and use it a different way. It's a pretty common question that we get, so we want to clarify it right from the beginning. So My Garden, think of it as a collection of organized resources. You may share that resource, you may choose to assign that resource, or you may just want to collaborate on it. For an example, maybe a special education teacher has found some great resource that they think will work with a particular student, and they want to share that resource with the teacher and get their feedback. They can easily do that inside of ZUNI. And today, with our use of open educational resources, collaborating on them is more important than ever. We need teacher voice, student voice, to really make sure that these open educational resources are really creating great value and adding to the learning of the students involved, as well as to the teachers and the professional growth opportunities. So think about My Garden as this big umbrella, and you're going to see in a minute that there's little pieces underneath this umbrella. And when we move things to the garden, if you remember, it's something we actually plant it to the garden and bring it in. So let's come in and talk about classes and assignments. And what is the difference between My Garden and classes and assignments? Classes and assignments are more structured. So you may have a beginning and an end date. You may have a specific set of instructions, and it may or may not be graded. So it's just more official. My Garden is kind of a little loosey-goose, and you can just really have a lot of flexibility. Yet anything from My Garden can easily be moved into an assignment. So with that in mind, let's take a little more deep dive into My Garden. As we come into My Garden, we'll notice several things here. First, let's take a look at how it's organized. So we have My Favorites, and that is where you're going to put all of the favorite pieces of content you see in ZUNI. You're going to need to organize them in a way that's best for you so that you can quickly access them and move forward. This particular group we organized in a folder called Adjectives. I can share an entire folder with someone if I want to. Or I can create a subfolder, which is just called a collection of resources. And I created one called Adjectives _1. So I have this subfolder inside my big folder. And in that, I also have 6 pieces of content. So the subfolder contains 6 different resources. And I can assign different resources and navigate them in ways that I want. And so to be able to do that, you'll see here this little ... and this green row on the bottom, Adjectives _1, and then to the far right, ... If I click on that, this pop-up appears. Now this allows me to take this collection and do a variety of things with it. Share, assign, comment, edit, delete, move, archive. So I can do anything I want to with that piece of content. So you see that this is a very important section to be able to know what and how I want to manipulate that content into the future. So then as I click into an actual subfolder, now I've clicked into, you see up here, My Favorites, Adjectives _1. So I'm now in that subfolder, and inside here I have 6 pieces of content, just as the number told me that I have. And if I want to know who I've shared that with, or if I was looking at something else, if I was the user it was shared with, I would see shared by. So it's shared with Tina Marie, so I can see who it's been shared with. And notice this piece of content underneath it doesn't have shared with. It means that piece of content has not yet been shared with anyone. So My Garden is a very wonderful place to be able to have different bits of information. If you want to know details about a specific piece of content, you can just click on Details, and the summary basically covers up, so it reminds you a little bit more about what that piece of content is all about. Let's look a little bit further into other pieces underneath My Garden. So I'm going to go through these quickly because, again, this is just really kind of understanding the difference of what you're going to do with content inside of My Garden. So inside of My Garden, you might have a shared by me, and that tells me who I've shared content with. I might have a shared with me, and that's going to tell me who I've shared content, who has shared content with me. And if I have something new in My Garden, I'll have over on notifications will show up on the left navigation. And then if you notice to the far right, it also shows up and lets me know which piece of content is new. So it makes it very easy to understand the flow of content being added. My Creations is a section where I can add content, and when I add a piece of content, I then can do any of the things that I want to with the same things I do with the ZUNI piece of content, I can do with now that content I created. When a user adds content, that content is private to them. It is not on the main ZUNI, and nobody else can see it or do anything with it unless the user who uploaded chooses to share it and give them the functionality to be able to do something with that content. Then you have Google Drive. So again, I want to be easy access to all of your resources. So we want you to be able to sync your Google Drive so you can access it here as well. It's very simple. When you click on the Connect to Google Drive, it will take you through a few steps, ask you to allow it to sync. And once it does, voila, there it is. There's all your content inside ZUNI. Your Google Drive is right here as well. You can remove your account anytime if you want to. Okay, so this really kind of summarizes My Garden. Think of it as this collection of resources that you can share, organize, collaborate with. It's just kind of more of the general use of content. Now we're going to talk about classes and assignments. And that's where we're going to come in. And again, it's more official, beginning and date, set of instructions, things like that. So when I click on classes and assignments, first thing I'm going to see is my list of classes. So I notice my title of the class, Track 2 Learning Strategies. That's the title of the class. I can put any image I want. I can change that image at any time. If I don't have an image, the default image is Dream Big. So then notice I also have a code. So if I want students to add, I can simply email them the code or have the code on the board and let them add the code, but we're not going through that how-to today. It's just very general understanding of my classes. This green ... lets me know that from here I could edit that class, that I actually am the creator of that class. I own that class. Notice this class, Patty's new class, doesn't have that. That means I belong to that class, but I'm not the creator of that class. So it's easy to differentiate which class you're just in, which class you might be the creator of. So, like I said, if I want to be able to send that code, remove this class, or edit it, I easily can by just clicking on the green circle with the ... When I come in to actually click on that class and find my assignments, this is what I'll see. This is basically my current assignment. It's highlighted and it's white with the orange, and then with dates or open-ended. So if I'm given an assignment and it doesn't have any dates with it, it will fall under the open-ended section. I can see here that I have this assignment, and I can tell that I have 5 resources that go with this assignment by the number 5 on the top. If I click on the instructions, I'll be able to see my instructions as well. And so there's my general instructions for it. And I'll see what am I going to do. This is like the big overview of the assignment. And then when I come in, here are my 5 pieces of resources, different resources that I have. My instructions told me to make sure I take a look at the AR Sim PD Web Quest first. So that's the second piece of content N. And the instructions on this piece of content will be the same as it was when you were looking on other instructions. So this is just very simple and easy to use, allows you to see your content easy ways. We are continually updating this aspect of ZUNI, so you'll see some new functionality coming in here through the summer. But this is basically the difference between classes and assignments. So I hope you're feeling very brilliant about this. But if you still have any questions, please use the chat button inside ZUNI and let us know your question, and we'll be sure to answer it right away. So I hope that helps, and have great fun ZUNI.